So we have the honor again to be here in the Alshech Shul, learning Alshech on the Parashat, where we merit to understand and dive into the Parashat with Rav Moshe. So the Parashat starts off, Vayikach Korach, and Korach took. What did he take? Vayikach Korach. So first, before we say what he takes, it never says what he takes, but then it starts talking about his extensive lineage, Ben Yitzhar, Ben Kahat, Ben Levi. Then we have two more people coming into the fray, V'datan Ba'avirav, B'nei Eliyav, the sons of Eliyav, and then we have a third guy, V'on Ben Pelet, and these three last mentioned people were all B'nei Reuven. So anyone learning Parashat Korach immediately gets confronted with questions as to what really was Korach's claim, what was his motivations, and like what exactly happened here, who was involved, who was against who. And Rav Moshe, in his usual, in his classic style of using the inconsistencies in the Pesukim and the questions that arise, he's going to use these to get into the story and to figure out what is going on. So question number one, Ra'ul Sim Lev. The first obvious question is Ma lakach, Vayikach Korach, he took. And the pasuk does not go on to describe what he took. Says Rav Moshe, Ki ena mefarshim yatzim yidei chovat halashon. The mefarshim that suggest what Vayikach, what he took, i.e. Rashi, for example, that says he took himself out of the community to fight. That doesn't really fit. Vayikach Korach he took himself. It doesn't really add up. Others say that he took words to convince people to fight, or Ramban says he took advice from his heart. His heart gave him this idea, and that's what he took it. He took the bait from his heart, kind of thing. So all of these things, says Rav Moshe, aren't really satisfactory in just simple understanding of like what did he take. So Rav Moshe is going to suggest an alternative explanation. The main issue Rav Moshe has is it doesn't say in the pasuk, after all of these explanations, it doesn't say what he took. Usually when you say someone took something, you would at least hint to what he took. And here, we have to fill in the blanks ourselves. Then he says, Rabbeinu Zal, the rabbis in the Midrash, Amru, Shalakach Tanat Tzitzit. He took the argument of Tzitzit, Talit Shakulat Chelet, as we know Rashi brings it, that he brought a fully dyed blue garment and he claimed to Moshe and he said, okay, you've taught us the mitzvah of Tzitzit. Now, the reason is obviously so we should remember the sky and all of that. So if the garment is fully blue, then what's the point of having one string? And then the rabbis also compared that to another similar argument regarding a room full of Sifrei Torah, and he said if the room is full of Sifrei Torah, it doesn't need a mezuzah. And basically he was questioning the Torah and Moshe Rabbeinu's teaching of the Torah, and it seems to be that the way the Midrash is understanding it, he was going right for the top. He was going for the Torah itself. And that's not so obvious from the Parashat. It seems like he was going more for power or distribution of responsibility. But according to this Midrash, he was questioning the authority of the mitzvah. So that's a chiddush. But that's not what Rav Moshe is going to go into. So again, Moshe was telling them the mitzvah from Hashem. So all the Torah we have is from Moshe. We only have two mitzvot from Hashem. Anochi and Holy Alshech Shul. Everything else we heard from Moshe. So he was challenging not only Moshe's decisions in the power distribution, but even his qualified, the authenticity of the mitzvah he's teaching. Right? So that's already a whole new level of question. So the Rav Moshe is explaining this midrash, and he says that where did the midrash get this idea from that Korach questioned the mitzvah of tzitzit? Because the end of last parasha finishes off with tzitzit, and we say Vayikach Korach. What did he take? He took the lesson that Moshe just taught us in the end of last parasha, and he used it against Moshe. So that's the explanation which isn't obvious in the Medrash, so that's what they're doing. They explain the Vayikach, but Rav Moshe is actually telling us that that's the meaning of the Midrash. V'usha darshu as-smichut shelakach me'inyan sof ha-parasha ha-smucha. So he took the end of the parasha, and then it says Vayikach with an extra vav, and we know vav always includes something else that isn't explicitly written. And in this case, Shabbat Osif shelakach davar acher me'en hatzitzit v'hu hi ha-mezuzah. That in the vav, it's alluding to another argument which is similar to the first, which is the story of the mezuzah, where he's challenging the need for a mezuzah in a room full of Sefer Torahs. So Rav Alshech is mentioning this midrash and saying that this is also seemingly not so simple, but at least it's somewhat mentioned in the way the midrash works, going backwards, and that makes it a little bit more palatable in the fact that it's actually referring to something that we saw before or after. But we'll see later on how Rav Moshe does take us through the idea. Question number 2. Lama lakhu shlash eila she'omer v'datam v'aviram v'om ben pelet. Rav Moshe is saying, so you're going to tell me what Korach took. What did these other 3 guys take? Did they take the same thing? What's their taking? Number 3, Lama siperi chuso ad Levi. Usually when you mention someone, you mention him and his father's name. That's enough for identification. Here we add another 2 generations, Kahat and Levi. And the question gets even stronger. The fact that he didn't go all the way to Yaakov, Amur Rabbeinu Zal, the rabbis say in the Midrash brought by Rashi, Nishet Palel, Yaakov, when on his deathbed, prayed, Bikhalam al Techad Kvodi, when they gather to fight Moshe, al Techad Kvodi, my honor shouldn't be desecrated. So the rabbis are basically saying that Yaakov should also have been mentioned in the lineage. We should have gone even one generation earlier. And says Rav Moshe, that doesn't make any sense. I'm questioning what's the need to even go all the way to Levi? And you're telling me we should have gone even further? Even what is mentioned we're struggling to deal with. You're telling me we've got to go even further? That the rabbis feel the need to explain why it wasn't mentioned. Ben Yitzhar. We know who Yitzhar was. Even Korach is mentioned already. No, Korach isn't mentioned, but I think Yitzhar is mentioned as the children of Kahat. So usually we already know the person, all right, and we're not just mentioning his lineage for no reason. So obviously Rav Moshe is going to tell us there's a reason here that we're suddenly going all the way back. Number 4, Lama lot seiref imahem hamatayim v'chamishim anashim. This is a very, very powerful question. If you read the Psukim, it says, Korach took, along with him was Datan, Aviram, and On ben Pelet, and they stood before Moshe. And 250 leaders. So, but those 250 leaders, where are they? Are they with Korach? Were they there from the beginning? Were they with Moshe? It seemed this 250 people, it seems inconsistent or unclear as to which side, when they got involved, or how they got involved, and where were they involved right from the get-go or not. So that's the question here. Why is the 250 people mentioned separately later on? Why doesn't it say, and Korach, and On, and 250 people came and stood before Moshe? Rather, it says standing before Moshe first, and then goes on to mention 250 people. But Omro, it's interesting actually, the Sephorno, interestingly, he has a very interesting pshat, not like Rashi. He says that the 250 people were included in the plan right from the get-go, but they were planted as a fake crowd in Moshe Rabbeinu's courtroom. So they had an idea that we'll send 250 special leaders to happen to be there in the crowd of other people, commoners. So Moshe is sitting, he's got people coming for questions, waiting around, and he's got 250 rabbis plus a bunch of other normal people. Comes Korach and starts complaining, and now these 250 rabbis join and they agree to him. So all the commoners are thinking, well, the rabbis seem to agree, and now everyone's giving a standing ovation to Korach because of the peer pressure of the rabbis. So they planted a fake, and they were in it right from the get-go. So this answers the question according to Sephora, that they were there, but they weren't there. They were planted to be standing before Moshe. So when Korach comes in, he stood before Moshe and 250 people that were there as part of the plan how to get people involved. So that's an interesting idea. I think nowadays they do it as well. Like in crowds, they'll plant like hired spectators to like get people to give applause and stuff. So that's question number 4. Number 5. Ba'omro vayakumu lifnei Moshe. It says they stood before Moshe. And the next pasuk says, and they gathered around Moshe and started complaining. But in the stage of standing before Moshe, it doesn't say what they did or what they said. So why is there an extra mention specifically that they stood before him and they gathered? What's the standing step of the development of events that doesn't seem to be anything happening there? What happened? What did they do in this standing? Doesn't say anything of developing in the narrative. Where it says Vayikalu, and they gathered around them and started complaining. If the standing was merely to begin gathering around him and complain, Yomar Vayikalu, and obviously when they were around him, they stood there. That would obviously imply that they were there standing before him. Number 6, Ki pasuk Vayakumu eino maskir kiyem et Moshe levado. Pasuk Vayikalu maskir gam Aaron. In the second pasuk it says they stood before Moshe. It doesn't mention Aaron. But Vayikalu in the third pasuk, where it actually starts talking about the complaints, there it mentions that they were in front of Aaron. So obviously Moshe and Aaron were there together. So why in the beginning it doesn't mention Aaron's presence? Number 7 question. Shayalo lomar Vayakumu va'anashim mipnei Yisrael lifnei Moshe. Shemashma'o Vayakumu nizkarim datam aviram v'korach lifnei Moshe. So this is really going back to the question we had before, that it says they stood before Moshe and 250 people. So that sounds like they stood before Moshe and they complained, meaning they were coming to attack Moshe, and the 250 people being on the side of Moshe, as opposed to being the challengers. So this is again, the Sephora answers this question as well, but this is really what's disturbing here. That the way the pasuk is written, it seems sounds like that the 250 people were on Moshe's side of the argument. It's not true. We see the 250 people actually were the main challengers. They were the ones that ended up taking the Torah situation. So why in the beginning does it seem like they were on the other side, or at least not involved in the challenge? Number 8, Omro Rav Lachem. Rav Lachem, what's the meaning of Rav Lachem? This is enough. So they told Moshe, you guys have enough. So Rav Moshe Alshech is saying that when you tell someone you have enough, that's in response to them asking for something more. So if someone asks for more, you say what you have is enough. But Moshe didn't ask for anything more, so why are you telling this is enough? Right? There was no request from Moshe to receive more, which I would say what you have is enough. Number 9, He's saying, the pasuk says, you have enough because the entire community is holy. That's not what makes Moshe and Aaron have enough. It seems like it's the reasoning. Ki kol ha'eda, what you have is enough because everyone is holy. There doesn't seem to follow and be a reasoning to Moshe and Aaron's position. Gam milat kulam yuter. It says kol ha'eda, kulam kadoshim. The entire community, all of them are holy. So you've already mentioned kol, which isn't all of them. So what's kulam? Number 10. Ma mosif v'amro ubetocham Hashem. Al amro kulam kadoshim. What is he specifically adding to his argument when he mentions that Hashem is in their midst? He already said they're holy, which is another way of saying Hashem is in their midst. So what's he adding in the argument here? Number 11, Ki im ha'irur hu ala kihina, ech yomar titnas'u lashon rabim. So now he's getting into more about what the actual claim was. And the pasuk doesn't clearly say what the claim was. It just says that they stood before Moshe, they gathered around them, and they said, "You guys have enough for yourselves." It doesn't say what their claim was regarding what. Someone wanted to overthrow Moshe Rabbeinu. They wanted to overthrow the Leviim. Right? It doesn't say what they specifically were challenging. But in the next pasuk it says, when Moshe replies to them, what does he say? He says, "Okay, you want to be Kohen, you want to fight Aaron? Let's see who's the real Kohen." So we see that that's what they were challenging. But if they were challenging only Aaron's position, why did they say to both Moshe and Aaron that both of you are acting in over excessive control of the community, when really they were only challenging Aaron? Number 12, Amrov Yishma Moshe, Ki Amrov Yishma Miyutar. Moshe heard. Obviously he heard. He wasn't deaf, and he was there, so he heard. So what's referring to his listening here? His hearing. What did he hear? What's it alluding to? Number 13. Question number 13. Lama nafala al panav. What was this step of falling on his face? What happened there? What was this step of falling on his face? Number 14. Amron leimor shu miyutar u'mushulal havana. Leimor, we know, always means to say over. And here he didn't tell them anything to say over. He said his statement. He wasn't giving them anything to say over. Number 15. What does it say in the pasuk? It says Vayidaber el Korach ve'el kol adato. He spoke to Korach and his people. You should just say he spoke to them. The above mentioned challenges. V'yadua ki Korach badatohim. You would know that it was him. V'gam amro ve'el miyutar. It says Korach ve'el adato. It mentions a separate reference to his people instead of just saying Korach and his people. Number 16. Amro ve'yoda nemar davar echad shalosh pa'amim. The pasuk says, Hashem tomorrow when you do the Torah test, Hashem will make known three things: who et asher lo, who is his, who is loyal to him, and who is holy, and he'll bring him close, and who he chose, he'll bring close. So it seems to be referring to the same position of Kohen. So why is the clarification of the Kohen's position mentioned in three different versions of chosenness? And it seems to be very repetitive. So Rashi already mentions what he says, that we're talking about the Kahuna and the Levi, but in the pasuk itself, it doesn't seem that the Leviim were being challenged as well. It just seems that we're referring to Aaron itself, and therefore what's the threefold clarification happening through the Torah test?
The three comes from using Vayoda 3 times? Or?
It doesn't say Vayoda 3 times, but it says...
Why does he think there's three things that he's trying to do?
Because in Vayoda it says Hashem will make known three things. Et Asher Lo, who is his, who is the Holy One.
I mean in the Pasuk.
Right, he just says V'gom V'chule, he doesn't specify what three things, but the pasuk, when you read the pasuk, you're like, okay, what's these three, like what's going on? Number 17, Omra Zot Asu Kachu. Now the question is, all the 250 people, what was their position here? Why are they challenging to be Kohen Gadol as well? They weren't even Levian. They were actually said they're mostly from Shevet Reuven. So obviously they don't think they can be Kohen. So why is Moshe offering them to do the Ketoret as if they're claiming to be wanting to be the Kohen Gadol? Lama yidnadnu machlot l'kulam? Ki im leKorach levado yinatan. Should only give it to Korach. Ki hu ha'mevakesh kunat Aaron. He's the challenger. Ki ha'matayim v'chamishim anashim ba'u la'ozro. These people just came to help him. They were just his fans, his groupies. They weren't coming here to actually challenge for themselves, apparently. Number 18, Amro Rav Lachem. Ma yitron osel lehem lemor Rav Lachem. When he says to
Moshe said to him, or
when Moshe says to Korach and to the people, he says, Rav Lachem, you've got enough. What's he referring to there? Number 19, Ki asher nikalu alav lo hayu mibnei Levi ki im Korach levado. It doesn't say there were any Levites besides Korach. Ve'ech yomar Rav Lachem b'nei Levi. right? The pasuk says Rav Lachem b'nei Levi twice. It says in the beginning when he was talking to the 250 people. There he says, okay, we're gonna do a Torah test tomorrow, and he finishes off his statement by saying, Rav Lachem b'nei Levi, you Levites have enough. Which Levites is he referring to? The only guy there that was a Levite seemingly was just Korach, and the rest were 250 people from all over the spectrum. So here we come to the close of all the questions, 19 questions in total, and we shall now embark on the journey of discovering the story through the Psukim. V'hinei amur Rabbeinu. The rabbis say, what triggered Korach to come forward with this claim? Shamar Korach achei Abba arba'a hayu. My father had four siblings altogether. Amram v'Yitzhar, Chevron v'Uziel. Amram was the oldest. Bnei Amram natnu srara. Echad melucha ve'echad kuhuna gdola. The oldest son had two children, two boys. So they got the two top jobs. Asrara shlishit lemi reuya. Which, if you have another available opening, who should it go to? Lo libnei Yitzhar shehu sheni le'Amram. So what happened here? There was three families of the Levites: Kahat, Gershon, and Merari. Kahat were the most unique, elite group. They were the ones that carried the actual vessels, and every family had a nasi of the family. So now this was an available option. So Korach kind of gave up on who's the leader of the people, who's the Kohen Gadol. That goes with the oldest family. So now we have an opportunity. The nasi of our family. Who's going to be? Korach was waiting for the name to be announced. He was like, yeah, it's going to be Korach. And then ta-da! It's Uziel, Litzafan ben Uziel. It's his youngest baby cousin that became the nasi. He was like, what? What's going on here? My young baby cousin is becoming the nasi? Once he saw that things are not making sense anymore, that's what aroused him to start questioning everything. Sorry? Tzafan ben Uziel. Hashem told him to. Everything was Hashem's. Everything. Of Mishpachat Kahat of the Nevi'im. Every family had a separate one.
Mishpachat Gershon had his own.
I don't remember the names. Yeah, it says in the Psukim. Mishael, those are, I don't remember the names. Every family, because the Nevi'im had like sub-family, like each family was like a shevet in a way. It was like they had like a lower level, like the lower generation was on a higher level that they hadn't seen. So basically, yeah, Korach was questioning, and basically he felt that now that Moshe is doing this obvious wrong step in the power distribution, this started making him question whether all up until now he was also choosing favorites. Obviously his brother comes first, but then he's got his favorite baby cousin that he wants to choose, and what's going on with the rational, just way of doing things. So now says Rav Alshech, we can explain that, answer the first question. Korach took. What did he take? He took an argument. What was his argument? Hello, hu heyoto ben Yitzhar. Vayikach Korach ben Yitzhar. He took the fact that he's ben Yitzhar. The fact that he's the son of Yitzhar is what got him going here, and that was actually his initial argument to Moshe. So now, the fact that he's the son of Yitzhar isn't enough. Why? Because maybe there's only kavod given to the oldest. Once you've gone past the oldest, the rest of the order doesn't make a difference. So we give the oldest family to Moshe and Aaron. Now we have the other three brothers and their children to choose from. Okay, now it's random. Says Korach, no, it's not true. I'll prove to you that there's something unique about the second as well. You don't, Korach was saying, don't say that once the oldest family has taken their jobs, the rest is all random. Who was Kahat? Kahat was the second son of Levi. Levi had three children: Gershon, Kahat, and Merari. Right? Mm-hmm. So Kahat was the second, but he was given the holiest job, the most important job. So we see that the second is actually even more important. So he's saying we're not even going to go into the fact that really I should be the Kohen Gadol because I'm the second, and you see that in the Levites lineage the second goes first. We say, okay, let's leave that for a second. But at least not to be pushed down to the fourth. I'm just trying to bring you a proof right now that the second is also important, at least after the first, but not that the second is completely irrelevant and the second and the fourth is the same. Levi. Levi was the third child of Yaakov. And he was also chosen to be the chosen shevet to serve in the Beit HaMikdash. So you see that even the third can be chosen. So you see that the higher you go, it doesn't have to be the first. Even after the first, there's still a pecking order of who can be first, because we know that Reuven he was supposed to be the Bechor and be given the Kahuna. It was taken away from him, but Yaakov didn't want to give it to Shimon either, because he messed up with Shechem. I think the Levi also did. I don't know why it was given to Levi. I don't know. Why was Shimon disqualified? Right, it was Levi as well. Shimon, Reuben and Shimon. Shimon and Levi.
Levi got the Bechor because they were the only ones that stuff. Moshe asked them,
oh, no, that's later on.
Yeah.
In the Egel.
Yeah.
But I think Yaakov already gave it to Levi. When he took it away from Reuben.
I don't think so. I don't think he ever did that. He gave it to Yosef.
Didn't give anything to Levi?
He gave it to Yosef.
Yeah, Reuben was supposed to have kingdom, kahuna, and Bechor in general. So the Bechor in general he gave to Yosef, kingdom he gave to Yehuda, and the kahuna he gave to Levi. But it could be that it was still. I mean, I guess we do say that the Bechorim in every family were the ones to serve in the Beit HaMikdash. I'm not sure, but at least the point of Moshe is saying is that we see from Levi that the third is also special. The Kolchkan Hasheni, all more so the second, Korach Shul ben Hasheni. So he's the son of the second. If we're going with this reasoning, that we want to bring a proof that the second is also unique to be chosen. Yaakov was also the second. Esav was older. So we could also bring a proof of Yaakov. Korach could have brought a proof from Yaakov. But he couldn't. Why? That's what the rabbis say, that Yaakov he prayed not to be mentioned and be used in this fight. Because Yaakov mentioned in his prayer not to be mentioned, he wasn't mentioned. Oh, yeah, Amir. Vayikach Korach, another explanation is, what did he take? Malakach. Heyot lo zchut avot. B'shaveh Moshe v'Aaron. He's like, Moshe and Aaron, who's got more zchut? What's Moshe and Aaron's zchut? Are they children of Levi and Yaakov? I'm also. We've got the same family. We come from the same stock. They're not better than me. That's why we mentioned their whole yichus. And we also mentioned that he took. What did he take? He took the fact that he has the same yichus as Moshe and Aaron. So that's it for now. Thank you very much. Hi everyone. We're learning Alshech. We're continuing the Alshech where we left off, and we're explaining now what Korach's argument was, and what the Torah is referring to when it says Korach took. What did he take here? And specifically we're talking about now what Yaakov Avinu's involvement could have been and why he prayed not to be involved. So let's start. Korach took. What did he take? That he had equal merit due to his ancestry as Moshe and Aaron. Ben Kahat ben Levi, they had equal connection to the Tzaddikim of Kahat and Levi. He felt that he was qualified to go head to head with them. But one thing he didn't realize was V'lo shat libo al Yaakov. He didn't remember one very important thing that Yaakov would have taught him if he would have paid attention. If he would have focused on Yaakov, he would notice that Moshe actually has something, he has one up on him. Yaakov was the one to actually give Moshe his status. When? Yaakov told his children that you're going to be redeemed from Mitzrayim when someone comes and says Pakod Yivkod. Right? That was the code. Lomar ki asher yoma pkida kfula. One who comes and says a double pekida, remembrance. Hu hagoel amiti. Velo haya rak Moshe. That's how we knew Moshe was the true Redeemer, because he was the only one that came forward and says that. Shamar ko amar Hashem pakod pakadti etchem. So Yaakov was the one that actually gave Moshe his credentials to be the leader and the redeemer of the Jewish people, which is why the people believed him, because they had the tradition of this code. Once we know for sure through Yaakov that he is the true redeemer sent from Hashem, obviously you wouldn't accuse him of making up appointments of who should be in charge, if not based on Hashem's command. Hashem wouldn't choose a redeemer, one who would lie in the name of Hashem. So Moshe is saying, Hashem told me to do Aaron the Kohen Gadol, Elitzafan the Nasi. So you're accusing Moshe of lying? Moshe, who is been given his credentials by Yaakov. Yaakov, Bikalam, Yadati shal techad kvodi. Shelo yabitu bi. So what's Yaakov saying? Here we understand Yaakov's prayer a bit differently. He's saying, if there would ever be such a scenario where people would gather together to fight Moshe, that's only coming because they didn't pay attention to me. They didn't pay attention to the fact that I started this lineage, and therefore I chose Moshe to be the leader. And if they forget this important vital point, that's when they're gonna come and fight against Moshe. If Korach would have remembered that his lineage goes back all the way to Yaakov, he would have actually refrained. Another explanation of what Korach missed here, the Masha Nashit Lev, but pay attention as follows. Yahlo katuv haya etzel kol Yisrael mi'bereshit ad hazmanahu. There was actually a written Torah scroll that the Jews had access to of the Torah from Bereshit until that period in time. Me'az nitna Torah kamadat amar, the pasuk says, Vayichtov Moshe et Sefer HaBrit. Moshe wrote the Torah, and Rashi explains that he wrote the Torah up until that stage in where they were holding, until Parashat Yitro. So if he would have read the Torah, he would have read Parashat Vayichi, and he would have seen that Yaakov was referring to a situation of people gathering up against Moshe, and he would obviously refrain from doing that. But the fact that he didn't pay attention to this verse, he didn't pay attention to what Yaakov was saying, that's what made him forget about Yaakov, and that's what made him not realize that he's getting into a mess right now. Korach, how did he not pay attention to Yaakov's statement, in their gathering, my honor shouldn't be desecrated? Was saying, Korach, he fell here and he sinned, and that once he got involved in this attitude of fighting is what caused him to just see himself as a grandson of Kahat, of Levi, and that's it. He forgot to go back and realize that he's a grandson of Yaakov, and Yaakov is telling him instruction of not getting involved in this type of behavior. But la shat liba Yaakov, if he didn't pay attention to Yaakov, if he would have paid attention to Yaakov, he would have seen that he spoke about this behavior and that it shouldn't be done. So now we're going to go and discuss Datan v'Aviram. So we know what Korach is. What's Korach? He felt that he's a son of Yitzhar and he's the second in command, like the rabbis say, he should be the Nasi. He started questioning Moshe. He felt he was equal to Moshe, and he didn't take into account that Moshe was chosen by Yaakov, chosen by Hashem, and he basically lost proportion of where he belongs and what his credentials are.
It was really after the Kohen job, not Moshe's.
Right. Never was after Moshe's job, but he was extremely arrogant by disrespecting and questioning his motives and the fact that he's lying in Hashem's name, which like the rabbis say, that means you're questioning Moshe's Torah that he taught us, which goes back all the way to the mitzvot. Because once you question his appointments in the name of Hashem, so why don't you question the mitzvot in the name of Hashem, which according to the rabbis he did. So Datan and Aviram, what did they take? What was their motivation and what was their feeling of ability to fight? Now that we know what Korach took to go against Moshe, Amar v'Datan v'Aviram, ma lakhu la'atzmam. What did they take as an argument? Halohu hayotam b'nei Reuven. They took the fact that they were the sons of Reuven. Who's Reuven? HaBechor. Ki lahem na'eh avodah. They felt that the avodah should be with the oldest. They felt that avodah should be with Bechor. Ki az hayta avodah b'Bechorot. K'moshe amru Chazal, ki zo achat mitanateim neged Moshe. Even Ezra explains that the main argument was the Bechorim. So now, Even Ezra actually says that this parasha is not in its place. He says, in Muktam Torah, it's just brought down here in the Torah, but it was actually the events happened when we saw a few weeks ago, that happened already a few months prior to the story of the Meraglim, where Moshe took the Levites and took them, made them take over the Bechor. And that's what gave the 250 Bechorim and Datan v'Aviram the argument to come and fight Moshe for the fact that they took away the Bechorim. Which is interesting because they already asked this question on Ibn Ezra. Ramban asks it, that Yaakov Avinu already took away the Bechorah from Reuven. So they're not really claiming anything against Moshe, right? So the Datan v'Aviram don't really have they're obviously not both of them Bechorahs, because they're two brothers. So the fact that they happen to be ancestors of Reuven is an outdated claim. They should be going against Yaakov. But it seems to be that they had this resentment already for a while, that they lost out on being the Bechorim. You know, like maybe the Reuven story is like a bit of a bitter story. We were the oldest Shevet, but we lost it all. And now that the current Bechorim lost their jobs, they thought now they have allies of people with a similar resentment that they can join with. But that's what the Holy Alshech is telling us, that the fact that they were the Reuven family is what got them. That's what they took as an argument. V'on ben Pelet, the very interesting what the Holy Alshech does here, he takes the pasuk, which is seemingly an innocent pasuk, just referring to the ancestry of Korach and of Datan v'Aviram, and he's actually saying, wait a minute, the pasuk is saying they took something, and a seemingly unnecessary ancestry. Well, they both answer each other. They took the ancestry. So that's like a genius way of answering two questions with one answer. V'on ben Pelet. Who was On ben Pelet? He was also a Reuvenite. But as we know, the rabbis say that his wife saved him, right? The famous story that she was doing her hair up and by the front door when people came, they stayed away. Ve'efshar ki hei marau ki en Pelet b'chol b'nei Reuven. So here, Rav Alshech is telling us a side point regarding the story of On ben Pelet's wife, that if you look at Reuven's family, it doesn't mention anywhere the name Pelet. Pelet isn't one of the names in the Reuven dynasty, in the extended family. So the rabbi is saying, what is Pelet? What does that mean? Pelet, referring to a Pelet situation, a wondrous thing that happened. So first he tells you that you might find Falu. Falu was a Reuven name, but that's not the same as Pelet. Ki eino ben Falu, ki hu avi av Datan v'Aviram. Datan v'Aviram were grandchildren of Falu. Ubnei Falu Eliav, and Datan v'Aviram were bnei Eliav. So So it's obviously not the same. It's not the same family. And the point is that we see that Falu only had one son. His name was Eliav. He didn't have a son called On. So when we see someone called On ben Pelet, we're like, who is that guy? It was like morning.
Yeah.
But that explains the On aspect. And Rav Alshech was focusing on the Pelet aspect, that we don't find that name. So On isn't a problem because On is already the next generation. We don't know the names of that generation. But the generation above that, we have the names, and we don't see the name Pelet anywhere. Oh, so exactly as Rav Alshech was saying, it's not the real name. So what is the name Pelet alluding to? It's alluding to the events that happened. V'gam omro Pelet b'taf. Why does it tell b'taf? Shemora al nekeva. So he says, al ken me amro lashon Pele. The fact that there's a word Pele here, that shows that there was a wondrous way how he managed to get out of this. And this was his wife getting involved and saving him. Shonasa bo Pele. Omro b'taf. Why did it say Pele with a taf? Imayot hayatzalato ede ishto she'ina kiva. So in his name Pelet, we have a reference that a wondrous Pelet thing happened with a female main character being involved here, and that was his wife. So that's a side point regarding On ben Pelet. Now we're going to see what the next pasuk is. So we had a few questions here. What's this stage of standing before Moshe, and what are these 250 people? Where are they in the story? So now that's what he's going to explain now. So we have Korach, we have Datan v'Aviram. They are prepared to fight Moshe. They're fire in their eyes, they're rabble rousers, they're committed. The 250 people were on the fence. They weren't sure who to put their loyalties with. The same way that happened, Kara lahem katzat Achitofel la'Avshalom. Avshalom was rebelling against his father David, and he wanted the people to be with him. But the people didn't want to be on the losing side, and just in case his rebellion doesn't work, and then David gets his kingdom back, and his wrath will be upon the people. So what did they do? What did Achitofel advise Avshalom to do? He said, you make a step from a point there's no return. In the sense that but the main concern of the people wasn't that he was going to lose. The main point of the people was that he might give up his rebellion. At the end of the day, it's his father. He'll have second thoughts. You'll be, you know what? My father will forgive me. I can back out, and we'll be back up. But his father might forgive him, but not the people that joined him. So Achitofel told Avshalom, you go ahead and have relations with your father's pilakshim, and that's a big statement in public. So everybody saw the son of the king violating his father's kingdom and his father's females, and that's a big statement of disrespect and trying to take over the kingdom. So therefore, the people will now realize that he's for reals. He's not going anywhere. He's fully in, and then they'll feel like they can join him. Shamar, so this is what the pasuk says in Shmuel. Shamar ki lo yarvu Yisrael libam liyotimo. People won't have the strength to go with him. Neged David Aviv. But Amram, why? What are they going to say? Ki hayom machar, today or tomorrow, but no yashlem ito. He'll give up the fight, and his father will forgive him. But the Jews that joined his side of the argument, of the fight, will remain in a pickle. Not only will it be embarrassing that they chose the losing side, it will actually be death penalty for the ones who chose to rebel against the king. Achitofel advised him, in a public place, go on top of the king's palace's roof, where everybody can see, and violate your father's pilakshim, concubines. But as Yomur Israel, the Jews will say, okay, there's no turning back from this place. This is going to go only one way now. So they're going to now be able to support him. That was the advice, that you've got to make a step. You've got to go to a place of no return where people trust that you're fully in, and then they can join you. This is what the same thing that happened here, says Rav Alshech. The 250 people, they were rabbis, they were leaders, Nesiim. They had something to lose. They didn't want to get on the wrong side. Korach will start the fight, and then Korach will get a deal with Moshe. He'll be given something, and then they're losers. So they had to see because at the end of the day, Moshe and Korach were cousins. So the cousins will work something out, and we're less dry hanging, nothing but on the wrong side of the team. We have to stay on the side. If we see Korach and his Datan v'Aviram sidekicks, they come with great arrogance and disrespect towards Moshe. And they're not embarrassed, they're not scared. Then we see that he's not coming for a deal. He's coming for a full-on fight. And then we can join him. Then we won't lose out by joining him. They stood to the side. Until they stood before Moshe. What does it mean standing before Moshe? They came in, heads held high. We're here for a fight. When they saw that, they were like, Va'anashim and Israel, now we're joining as well. This explains what this step of Vayakumu is. They were standing with confidence and commitment to not give up and to take this fight all the way. He came in ba'azut panim va'azut metzach. I guess when people come into Moshe, they come in, Shalom Aleichem Rabbi. And he came in like, Moshe, what's up? I don't know how, maybe I have to do some charades. They explain what it means to come into Moshe Rabbeinu with chutzpah and fighting spirit. But it seems to be that there's a certain clarity in what your intentions are when you walk into the rabbi's room, even just from walking in. The way the posture and expression. Yeah? Makes sense? He actually brings here Midrash Hagadol. Says they stood before Moshe, shekamu lefanav ba'azut panim. As it says in the pasuk in Micha, bat kama be'ima. Bat kama be'ima. So you see that standing before someone is like, it means you're standing up against him, not just standing before him. Okay? V'haya b'mamad anashim b'nei Israel. There were other people there as well, not only the 250 rabbis. Shegam heimu hayu sham lirot hayazu p'neim neged Moshe. Right? The people were there as well. They were just hanging out on the fence. The pasuk continues, Vayikahalu. And now they gathered against Moshe. Now that the 250 people saw that the Korach means business, as Vayikahalu gam hem, Moshe v'Aaron, now they joined. Vezeu vayakumu v'anashim vayikahalu. First, Korach stood up before him. The 250 people were there. And then, Vayikahalu, they joined the struggle. Now, they weren't sure how this is going to unfold. Pen yomar lahem, ma lachem tidaku atzmechem, v'tit'abru ariv lo lachem. So now, Moshe, what's Moshe going to say to the 250 people? He's going to say, why are you guys getting involved? What's the question? Who's going to be Kohen Gadol? It's not you. It's Korach. So why? What do you have to? What do you have to gain? You have nothing to gain here. Right. So it seems the way the rabbi is saying it that the Nasi got him questioning Moshe, and once he started questioning Moshe, he was like, well, if he's making stuff up, let me go for the top. That's what it seems to be. Because you see in the pasuk that they were fighting Aaron. It doesn't say they were fighting Eli Tzafan. The rabbis say Eli Tzafan because that seems to be more appropriate in the time frame. Because Aaron became the Kohen years ago. Right at the beginning, Aaron was a thing. So why suddenly now you're waking up? So in terms of what instigated the struggle, has to be something that happened more recently.
Anyway, you're not part of the struggle.
Right.
You're not going to. What do you?
Right, what do you have to gain? So Korach was afraid. He was already thinking a few steps ahead. He was like, this might be Moshe's claim. So he's trying to, in his initial statement to Moshe, to take away any possibility of a comeback. So this might be a comeback, telling the 250 people get out of this because there's no point in you being involved. So what's Moshe? What might Moshe tell them? Why are you getting involved? Why are you getting involved in a fight that's not yours to win anyway? Is he going to give you fields and vineyards? Like, what's your incentive? You're not getting anything out of Korach. So what do you care if Korach's the Kohen Gadol? Well, if Aaron's the Kohen Gadol, it's not you anyway. Number two, Moshe might claim to them, if the people will see that people are fighting Moshe Rabbeinu, what would they do? The Jewish people, their beloved teacher Moshe Rabbeinu, now they'll start just, what do you mean? We're fighting Moshe? They'll start stoning them to death. Maybe not all the people, but most of the people. You can't expect the Jews to suddenly turn on Moshe. So he had to get the Jews, everyone, to be incited against Moshe. He had to make this a populist claim where everyone suddenly feels unjust, that Moshe is not acting fairly with them. So that's right, to prevent the Jewish people from feeling allegiance with Moshe. Everybody is a student of Moshe. Who else is as high, as special as Moshe? One who questions Moshe is questioning the Shekhinah. So obviously Korach, right, he had the reason to be afraid that he can't just, come up against the beloved teacher Moshe. By himself. He's got 3 people, 250, let's say.
Yeah.
But that's not enough against 600,000.
We already know, believe in.
Right, right. The beloved Moshe. So now we're going to see in what Korach wisely or slyly in his original statement did in order to prevent these 2 problems. Ala Rishon Amru Rav Lachem. Now, Lomar Al Ya'aleh Al Ruchachem. The 250 people are telling Moshe, Rav Lachem, Ki Al Devar Korach Belvad Al Kunat Anu Kamim. We're not only coming to challenge the Kohen Gadol. Shehu Riv Lalana. There you would have a good argument saying why we're getting involved. There's only one Kohen Gadol, and what you guys got nothing to gain. But Kihinei Rav Lachem Shnetaltem Zulatze. Meaning they wanted to challenge Moshe they were actually challenging Moshe here as well. Not only Aaron. Now Moshe, who was to be the leader, maybe they had some charismatic in those 250 people. Maybe they were putting up Moshe's job for grabs as well. So now that's what they're claiming, that they might be better than Moshe. Moshe was a stuttering guy, was humble. Here you come a chashav, a nasi with a nice suit, with a better tongue, like a good speaker. Maybe we have an open position for that as well. V'ala sheinit, what about the people? How are we going to get the people to be on our side, says Korach? Hitchakmu lachnif et klalut ha'am. They were slyly trying to get people, the entire nation, to be pulled in here. Lomar ki im Moshe v'Aaron kadoshim, if they're holy, gam ken kol ha'eda. If they're holy, then everybody's holy. They're not better than us. What makes them better than us? We all receive the Torah. We're all the same. So basically, he's getting everyone to suddenly feel good. Like, give someone a compliment, suddenly they're blinded. Everyone's feeling like, Korach just told me I'm holy. Okay, I'm on his side now. V'od sheinit, ki al ma shenikalim al Moshe v'Aaron. We're not standing up for ourselves. We're standing up for the people. Lo nageh al atzmam. Ki al dvar kvod Hashem v'al kvod Yisrael b'no b'chara hem chashim. We're here for the glory of Hashem and the glory of the people. We're against these people that are on top of the food chain trying to take control. We're here, we're about equality. We're about people. We're about everybody having a fair chance. We were all against those people that think that they can take control of the people and think they're better than everyone else. This is how they're going to shut everybody's mouths. So now all the people are watching. They're like, there's no point. We're not. They're suddenly listening. They're he's brought up certain a side of the people, which I guess, everybody has an ego, and everybody feels like, and I'm being told what to do. Moshe Rabbeinu is coming up with new mitzvot every day, telling us where to go, telling us what to do. Maybe not. Maybe there should be like a free, hip, like the 60s, free everything, no leadership. But obviously that's not what he's saying. He's saying, I want to be the leader. But in order to get everybody involved, he's like, let's just do across the board, no pyramid scheme, no, just equal love. Yeah, they're Moshe's arch nemesis. Yeah, they're right. When he was 13 already, they made him have to run away, right? And this is the end of them. They've been troublemakers all along. He says the entire Kol Ha'edah Kulam Kadoshim. What's going on? Lo Amar Kol Ha'edah Kadoshim. Pen Yamru Alo Gam Ki Kol Ish Yisrael Kadesh Ye'amar Lo. Why is every Jew holy? You could say every Jew is holy. Ach behit chaber yachad kulam. When shehu im Moshe v'Aaron bichlal. So you could say that every Jew is holy as a whole. The Jewish people are holy. Why the Jewish people are holy? Because we have Moshe and Aaron in the Jewish people, the tzaddikim. So that means that everyone's really the same. Everyone's holy. He's saying they're actually holy. Not that the command is to be holy. Every Jew is holy. But maybe that doesn't mean that every Jew individually is holy. We're part of a holy nation. So Korach wanted to make every Jew feel special. He said, Kol Ha'edah Kulam Kadoshim. Everyone on their own, individually is holy. Because you could say, compared to Moshe and Aaron, then nobody's holy. But Korach wanted to make a point that everybody is individually holy. The Alshech himself explains the pasuk in Yeshaya that says that Malachim are considered Kadosh. But Hashem is considered Kadosh. So how does it work? He says, compared to human mortals, Malachim are Kadosh. But compared to Hashem, they're not Kadosh. So you see the concept that Kadosh is relative. Relative to people, they're Kadosh. Regarding relative to Hashem, only Hashem is Kadosh. Therefore, in order to take away this relativity question, even when all Jews are together, and we now have to compare the simple Jew to Moshe, and now you say, oh, Moshe is holy, but not the simple Jew. No. Even when all Jews are put together in a room, each individual is holy, irrespective of the fact that he's lower or higher, everyone's holy. As the rabbi said, every Jew is a Har Sinai. And that's what makes every Jew holy. Every Jew merited extraordinary level of prophecy. Right? Most Nevi'im, when they received prophecy, they had to go into like a trance, lose their physical senses. Whereas Moshe was able to speak to Hashem face to face, and that level of nevuah was the level of nevuah of Matan Torah. So every Jew had that relationship with Hashem at Matan Torah. So that shows that we're all holy. And right, we know that Kabbalistically, there's the circle spirit and there's the linear spirit, which is the connection to Hashem, where a circle, right, is where everything's the same. There's no beginning or end. And then there's the linear where there's this beginning and there's lower along the line. So Korach was saying that we stood around Har Sinai in a circle, and we were all equally around the top of the mountain where the Torah was given. So he was saying that should indicate that there is no hierarchy in Judaism. But he's saying that every Jew, that implies that that's the way the Torah works. Everybody's equally connected. But the truth is that we're not equally connected when it comes to Avodas Hashem, because we need leaders and we need Kohanim to help us on a practical level. So in the essence, we're all the same, but in the ladder of working towards avodah and mitzvot are always are linear things, because we know ourselves that we can continually grow on a personal level, and that's why we need. And even on Har Sinai itself, they forgot to mention there was also levels. The 70 elders, Moshe, Aaron, right? So there was even on Har Sinai itself. There was the top. There was around the mountain, and there was also on top from the levels of the mountain's height. So that was what was Korach saying everyone's holy. But now he's pointing out maybe that holiness was only at Har Sinai. But since Har Sinai, there was already a bit of a burst of the bubble. There was the sin of the golden calf. That was before the golden calf. Once they sinned, they've lost this level of kedusha. Hashem is between them. What does that mean? Hashem is in our midst. The Mishkan. I will rest in the inside of them. And this is the famous Rav Alshech, which all the Sfarim bring as a midrash. That betocham, it doesn't say I will rest in it, in the Mishkan, it says I'll rest in them. Which means that the Mishkan represents the fact that Hashem rests in every Jew. Betocham mamash. Every Jew is a chamber for Hashem's revelation. Moshav hashchina b'nafshotam, the Shechina rests and has a seat in every Jewish soul, which is in the bodies. As we have explained. Okay, madua titnasu. Why are you acting in what's this word? Titnasu would mean to titnasu to be in charge, like to be bossy. I don't know. What's the fancy word for being?
With air of superiority.
Right. Why do you act with superiority? That would be satisfactory. Moshe Melech v'Aaron Kohen Gadol. So he's saying that both of them, you guys are both leading, taking superiority over the people. We're all the Jewish people, we're all the same. Hashem is the king. Right? You think that you're the king, Hashem is the king. Right? Every 70 nations all have ministers. The Jewish people go straight to Hashem. Like we said before, he claimed to be fighting for the Jewish people being disrespected and for Hashem. How was he fighting for Hashem? Because he's saying that Jewish people don't deserve to have any intermediary kingdom or leadership besides Hashem. And the fact that you claim to be leaders as Kohen Gadol and the Melech of the Jewish people, it means that you're disrespecting Hashem's leadership of the Jewish people. We are the Jewish people are Hashem's kahal, not anyone else's. Now he got the people pacified. Everybody's changing out. Everyone's like, okay, he likes us. He's giving us compliments. He thinks we're good. He's actually standing up for us. He's standing up for Hashem. It's a moral cause, and now they've joined him. Okay, so we're continuing the Alshech and Parashat Korach, and we're inside right here in the argument of Korach, where he has just made his fiery speech against Moshe's superiority of the people, and now we up to Moshe's reaction. Pasuk Daled. Vayishma Moshe vayipol al panav. Moshe reacts by falling on his face. And we asked the question in the beginning, what does it mean Moshe heard? What did he hear? What's the specific hearing going on? As Amar Moshe, ma ashiv b'fnei kol Israel. Moshe's in a bit of a predicament. Because Korach just gave a very heartwarming social warrior speech. And Moshe can't negate anything he said, because everything he said was right and morally superior. Ashiv means to retort, to answer back. Right? What can I say now? All they've shown, the outer veneer of Korach and his people, was pure fighting for the right causes. But everyone's now on their side, agreeing with them. People didn't know what lies underneath this beautiful, polished speech. Underneath this is a nega, the beheret, ki al ken lo ana. Moshe had nothing to say. Because such a beautiful speech, you can't challenge what he said, but you can't challenge what his motivations are, because that's not what he said. Beheret is a word for nega. It's a paraphrase of tachtea tamoda beheret, is a word in Parashat Torah. But here he's using it like underneath the veneer of justice warrior is a nega of ill intent. Zeu vayishma Moshe. Moshe heard, but he didn't just hear. He heard between the lines. He understood. He understood what's going on. But only Moshe did. Everybody else went for the outside flowery stuff. But he was the only one that heard what was going on. When we say listen, it means understand what I'm saying. The people didn't understand what's going on. Al-Ken, how did he react? Moshe reacted wisely. First thing he did, on the fact that he was accused of being superior over the people, holding himself better than everyone else, the first thing he did was fell flat on the floor. He's like, I'm nothing. I don't think I'm better than anyone. I'm a simple person. I'm anochi afar ve'efer. I'm flat on the ground. On the fact that he was accused of being a dictator or an unjustified leader or king, put his face flat on the floor, thereby indicating, I'm not here to be in charge, to be a king or anything. All I am is dust and ash. And then he starts beginning to refer to the second claim they made. So the first claim they made was Moshe was a dictator, he was an unappointed king. For that he says, I'm not here to be on top of anyone, I'm here at your service, I'm humble. It's not what's going on here at all. That he showed in action. But regarding the claim they actually made of Aaron being the Kohen, and they want to challenge that. So that's what he's going to reply to in the following pasuk. He says, "Vayidaber el Korach ve'el kol adato le'mor boker." In the morning, we're going to do the Torah test. Lo ratza lomar lehem. He didn't want to challenge them directly and expose their evil intentions and tell them, "Atem marim shel kvod Hashem v'amartem osim." You're showing a face of being trying to stand up for the Jewish people and Hashem's kavod. But now, it's not true. He could have said that. He could have said, I'm exposing your lies. But he was afraid that the people bought what they said. And now he's not fighting just Moshe and Aaron, just Korach and Datan v'Aviram. Now the people's hearts are with Korach. And if he starts trying to say, that you have an intentions, they'll be like, no, Moshe, you're just trying to read into them because you're the one that's the problem, and you're just projecting. Right? So he didn't want to start getting into that messy game. He did something wisely. Wait till the morning, and Hashem will clarify the situation here. I'm not gonna get involved here. I'm not gonna start saying who's right. Hashem, who knows the truth, Hashem, who knows people's minds, Hashem, who knows what's going on inside a person, he's going to choose. So basically what he's saying is, he's saying that you think that I come with ill intentions. Tomorrow, Hashem's going to show who is Asher Lo, who's here to serve Hashem's interests, and who's here with egotistical self-interests. So that's going to be clarified, Moshe's position. So he's referring to now, Et Asher Lo, not referring to the Kohen. He's referring to, it's going to be known who's coming with pure intentions and who's not. I.e. Moshe is going to be shown to be the one with pure intentions. But Alakuna, now the second thing that's being challenged, that Hakadosh, one who's holy, the Kohen, now will be brought to Hashem and be proven to be the one chosen. Shema Tomru, Loken Dibarta, Be'mor Vet Hakadosh. So now you're saying there's only one holy person. Shemoraki echad kadosh v'lo zrato. You're saying there's only one holy person, but we just said that there's more than one. The whole claim was everyone's holy. Ve'eit asher yivchar loma gam im kedivrechem kenhu shekulam kadoshim. So you're saying everybody's holy. So it means that everybody is eligible to put forward their claim to be the Kohen. But ultimately, there's only one Kohen Gadol. So who's it going to be? So I'm not saying that you're not holy. I agree you're holy. But there's going to be one guy at the top, one Kohen. There's not how many Mizbeach, there's only one Beit HaMikdash. Hashem will now choose, right, from all of the people who is the actual holy one. So now, what he did suddenly here, suddenly we have the 250 people being offered the Torah, because their claim, in their attempt to include the people, they widened the pool of challenges.
But they claim was a gift. Given the 250, they were challenging Moshe, kingship as opposed to the commandment.
Right. So that was their official claim. But once they said everybody's holy, they were essentially saying that everybody can be a Kohen, not even a Levite. So now Moshe's like, okay, I'm taking you seriously. I think you're right. Everybody's a Kohen. But everybody's Kadosh. But there's more Kadosh, and there's Hashem chooses one of the Kadosh people. Or you can say that the one who's been holy already till now is going to be holy. So he's explaining now a different version of how to explain the Kadosh ve'kriv elav otashiv charbo. He's saying, so let's say I'm wrong. Hashem never chose Aaron. So let's go back to square one. So we'll find out tomorrow who's the Kohen Gadol. Let's start from fresh. So either at HaKadosh, I'm right, and Hashem already chose Aaron then the Kriv Elav will continue with that. So if you want to insist that until now, Aaron wasn't chosen, I made it up. Let's see, you know what? Maybe. Find out tomorrow. So the worst case, he'll be chosen from now on, and you'll know that. So what's going on here with the Nesiim? We're not sure. That's the whole point. It's something we're offering the Nesiim the Torah. Are they asking to be Kohens? Was Korach asking? What's going on? See, Moshe wasn't sure. Im kavanat hamatayim v'chamishim anashim. Those 250, what was their intention? Haytashi Kohen Korach? Were they just supporting Korach and his individual claim to be the Kohen? Or gam hem hayu mevakshim kohuna? Right? So they were also being the Kohen. Why would they claim to be the Kohen? Or kibnei Reuven habachor hayu? Like we said before, and the Rashi also says that these 250 people were mainly from Shevet Reuven, so they're going back all the way to the old loss of Reuven being the Kohen. Or b'chorot b'tzad atzman. There's some commentaries that say that these 250 were Bechorim, and they were challenging the new change of events where the Levites replaced the Bechorim. So that could have been their claim. So meaning Moshe wasn't sure if they're just supporting Korach or they have their own personal claim.
He knew which tribe they were. Moshe knew.
Right, but he wasn't sure. Korach was the only one doing the talking. They were standing around him with support. The question was, is he talking for all of them, or is he talking just for himself, and they're just the cronies? It could be that they were actually challenging the switch from the Bechorot into the Levites. Moshe Amru b'pasuk l'kashtem gam kohuna, as the rabbis actually say that that's what got the 250 people involved, because they were Bechorot. Al Ken, in order to play safe here in his uncertainty of what their claim was, sider tana achat im hakavana hi al Korach, b'tana acheret l-250 anashim. So in his answer, he's including an answer either way. So that's why it says, Im da'atav shegam hem behem efshar yivchar Hashem lekohen. He's not sure if they actually claim the kahuna or not. So he says as follows: V'zehu omro vayedaber el Korach ve'el kol adato. In this one statement, there's two understandings. Depending on what's in their head, they can receive an answer here either way. V'lo amar el Korach va'adato. Lomar, it doesn't say there's an extra L. Lomar vayedaber el Korach shul atzmo v'od dibur acher shul el kol adato lemor lahem biyichud. So he says, why is this a word lemor here? Because here lemor means a specific statement. It doesn't mean like usual lemor means to repeat. Here lemor means I'm talking to you and I'm talking to you. So each one had a specific argument directed to them. That's one explanation of lemor. Or shiur amor lemor ki negam shechashash Moshe penti adat 250 anashim gam ken litkayin. So even though Moshe thought that these 250 people might be claiming the kahuna, but there's two problems here with the claim, because first of all, you have 250 people claiming one kahuna. This is strange. Korach can be an individual challenger. 250 people should claim one position, and that's one thing. And the fact, also another question is that they're not actually kohanim. They're not even Levites. the Israel. So right now you're trying to jump, you're trying to get out completely out of league. Like at least Korach is Levite already. So all he's asking is to be promoted. Is less promote. He's asking for less promotion. There, like completely.
He's like the tribe
right.
from which the Kohen came.
Yes, and technically it's just two jumps because he needs to be a Kohen. He's not a Kohen, and he wants to be the Kohen Gadol. But the truth is, actually being the Kohen Gadol is one jump because he wants to be instead of Aharon. And who's the Kohanim? Aaron's children. So he wanted his children to be the Kohanim. But technically, if you think about it in terms of hierarchy, there's Levi, Kohen, and Kohen Gadol. So it is a two-level jump.
But the wife of Reuben, didn't say why are you the way?
Right.
Here it sounds like all of them were saying, yeah, maybe they could.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes, if they were being honest, they didn't think they were going to get it. If they were honest, they didn't think they were going to get it. It was just like, oh, I have a claim. But like, seriously, do you really think that this claim is valid? Especially if they were just the fact that they were Shevet Reuven. This is not even Moshe's thing. This is an old thing. Like, they're literally making up an old claim. It's like Putin fighting Ukraine because they used to belong to, like, they're like, this is not, like, she was wise enough because I guess she was even less involved. She was looking from the outside. Once they got involved and the egos and the emotions and all the stuff gets involved, like there's no consistency at all in these people's claims. It starts with the Nasi, it wants to be Kohen, it wants to be Moshe. It looks like once they were questioning and once they got involved with like power struggles, they lost any type of rationality. That's what seems to be the theme generally. Right, she didn't want to directly. I guess she was like talking to him within his bubble of power hunger. Like you can't fight someone.
All your egos now. All
Right.
not putting against the 3 minutes of that. We don't seem to have arguments at all.
Right.
They're in the bubble.
Right. You can't come from the outside. Right. That's good. We don't have so much time, so I want to continue a little bit. We'll speak later. So Moshe is wondering what they're really intending, and he's also thinking like if they're really thinking to be the Kohen, it's a very strange claim that they have. So now when he started bringing in the 250 people's claim of the Torah, it wasn't just to see how they react. If they're going to agree to take this Russian roulette question of taking this Torah, like it's like 250 chances of death, one chance of being the Kohen Gadol. It's a stupid bet.
They knew what happened to it. Yeah, they knew what happened to the sons.
The sons of Aaron, right? This was like a known poison. Or in Yomru Malan lekach machtot v'anu Yisraelim yikchu Aaron v'Korach levadam ish machtoto. So Moshe is saying, like, I'm offering you the chance of taking the Torah, but they could also refuse and say, you know what? If the question is death, and there's such high odds of death, let's leave it to a 50-50 between Korach and Aaron, which makes more sense. He was the main challenger. He's actually a Levite from Kahat, and let's just watch what happens in the 50-50 thing. But Moshe was giving them the option of actually taking their claim to the next level. So the fact that he's offering them the Torah is mainly for Korach. So he's saying that really he was referring to Korach when he gave the idea of the Torah. Mainly he was referring to Korach as he knew for sure that Korach is the challenger of the Kohuna. But he's saying, you guys, if this is your intention as well, anyone that wants to challenge can get involved. But he was mainly referring to to Korach, and he was like, if these guys are stupid enough to do it, then go ahead. The most likely scenario in Moshe's head was that they're going to quit. At this point, if it's a 250 to 1 chance of dying, any sane person would quit. And they would say, right, think about this. Like, they'll just reply, we're not even qualified, we're too far away from this race. Aaron and Korach, go ahead, let's see who wins. They actually were like, you know what? Let's do this. Now suddenly, as hafach Moshe panav b'nei Levi v'amar, Rav lachem b'nei Levi. So now he's saying as follows. He's focusing on the Levites here, mainly Korach, because we don't know if there's any other Levites, but he's saying to these guys, are you guys actually thinking of this? Even the Levites are stupid for wanting to take this risk. And they're closer to be a challenger. And you guys, seriously, like, he was trying to get them to realize how preposterous they're agreeing to do this is. So he says, Rav lachem b'nei Levi, la'alot el libchem, even as a Levite, it's stupid to think that you can jump two levels, mi levia lekuna gdola, or ledaleg madriga achad. You're jumping one level. And soon he's going to say, actually, meaning it's 2 levels because you're jumping the one level of a regular Kohen. All the more so these idiots, it's unbelievable that they should want to challenge themselves in this way. How can they jump so many levels in one go? You're Tamli Israelim, Ad Kuna Gdola, you're regular Jew, Levite, regular Kohen, and Kohen Gadol. Now he realized that these guys are just lost it. Like, I'm not even going to try to speak to these people. Like, they're suicidal. These guys, whatever. Now he directs in the next parasha, in the next section, he directs the conversation to the people that are not so obviously stupid, which is Korach, and the Levites, however, these people, even though he pointed out how preposterous their claim is, they continued with their claim. So now, when you have a group of people that are getting up to trouble, so what you say is, you don't the known troublemakers, you don't try and talk to them. You're like, they're lost case. I'm going to try and talk to the people that I know in the past have stayed away from trouble. At least I can work with them. So in this group, he didn't want to talk to the regular Jews because they've sinned in the past. But Levites have managed to stay out of sin all in the past. So he's like, at least talk to the Levites. Like, in the Levites of the group, interesting, because before Rav Alshech said the only Levite was Korach. Here he seems to be saying there might have been another few.
I think he's trying to put pressure on the Levites to put pressure on Korach.
That's what I think he says later on in the second statement. This is the closing line of the first original statement where he's still talking to the 250. In the next statement, I think Ramban actually says and that he spoke to Korach and he wanted it to be in front of the Levites. Yes. I think he says also here, yeah. But in this here, he seems to be the Levites were there somehow, and they were also getting involved in the challenge. And he's focusing at least his Musar and his trying to talk sense to the Levites in particular. So, because usually that's who we can work with. Yasef panav labilti mulumad lara. We're going to try and work with the guy that's not usually the troublemaker. And what will be the claim? What will be the Musar? Until now, I know you to be a good citizen, a good Jew. Until now. And now you're breaking your what's going on. It's worse for you to be sinning now and causing trouble. These are all troublemakers. I don't expect much from them. From you? Levi were the ones that always stayed away from sin. When Moshe said, who is for Hashem? Who came? Kol b'nei Levi. V'chem b'meraglim as well. The meraglim, Shevet Levi were involved. And other things, Levites also stayed away. When he admonished the people for what they're doing, he said, "Davar gadol v'rav v'gadol hu lachem b'nei Levi." The Levites amongst you, that I don't understand how you're involved. I mainly wonder about what your involvement is. Oh, Yomar Rav lachem b'nei Levi, Yomar davar rav kazeh lachem, no b'shvulchem asidi b'nei Levi. I did a big thing for your benefit. Why? The fact that I am going to give you till the morning, like you said, time to reconsider. I did this only for you, Levites, because you have a semi-claim here. The Israelites, the Reubenites, they haven't got a claim, so I wouldn't actually give them time to think. If they want to be stupid, I'll tell them to do it right now. But it's for you that I understand your claim somewhat, is what I'm giving you time to consider it, so you shouldn't actually fall. So we're going to end here, B'ezrat Hashem. Zak U Baruch. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Okay, so now we have Shir Hashirim, whoever wants to stay. Shir